You're listening to Creatively Geeky, the support group for your creative process.
Welcome out to the Creatively Geeky Show, episode number 48. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by Ray, Chris, and Cyrus. How are y'all doing?
Excellent.
Good.
We're doing good.
Well, good. Glad to hear it. This is our catching up episode, so we're talking about what we've been watching, what we've been listening to, what we've been thinking about, and what we've been doing. So we might as well get started. So would anyone like to go first?
Sure.
All right, Ray. Which category you want to hit first?
I'm gonna do listening because it's probably the least interesting.
Okay. I like to. Yeah, let's build up. So let's do that. So
yeah.
All right. So what have you been listening to?
So Spotify mostly. I haven't really been on the podcast. I haven't really been on audiobooks right now. It's been mostly Spotify. We've been doing a lot of driving, so the real ones that I've been listening to are like 100 best songs to drive to, which that was actually a pretty good list.
That was decent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100 best driving songs. I've also been listening to 90s acoustic covers because I like hearing 90s music, but also other people's interpretation of it. And then, of course, Alex Melton. He's the guy that does like the if emo covers, or also if Blink-182 did these songs, and he would kind of play them like Blink-182. So
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I've been listening to.
Cool. Chris, what have you been listening to?
Not a whole lot. The only thing I've been listening to outside of the Spotify that he puts on when we're driving, because somebody just can't listen to the radio.
Oh no, I'm Cyrus knows I've made lots of jokes about this. I can't do it. I what's funny was it was a time in my life when I was in my early 20s, mid 20s that I listened to the radio all the time, and like I liked the morning zoo shows and stuff. And now I can't stand any of that.
So I listen to it like during the school year every morning when I drop the kids off at school, and that's the only way I get my news.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because he doesn't listen to radio, but he will sit there for like 10 minutes flipping through all the options on Spotify rather than listen to the radio. That drives me crazy. That drives me nuts. And I just do something. I don't care what it is. Just stop touching the screen.
So Lainey was just down here and she was telling us she calls it Joseph's favorite show. And it's basically the 10 minutes that he sits going through all of Netflix and all of Hulu and all of everything, trying to find something to watch before he ever watches anything. She goes like, oh, that's his favorite show. Is just going through it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's your favorite show, but it's
not. It's annoying. But
it's annoying, but he'll sit there. And I don't know if it's like a perfectionist thing where he wants to pick like just the right thing. So he will sit there. And because we watch something when we're eating, it's like, you need to go sit down 10 minutes before we're even ready to go here, because you need to go through all of it. Because I don't care. I'm like, just put something on it.
Right, but
he agonizes over
I try and watch something that everybody's going to want to watch, or everybody's going to listen to, right? At least try and be partial to the group. When I'm on my own in the car, I'm flying down the road, whatever, no problem. And if I want to change it, I hit the button and I talk to the car and I change it.
It's my fault.
Somebody doesn't like that. I do that.
Listen. Okay. Anyway, I'm listening to Jen's book. that she picked, the Milky Way, the autobiography of the Milky Way. So I'm listening to that.
Once you're done, I'll get started.
Yeah, I've got like 4.5 hours left, so I'll finish it next week.
Okay.
Back to work, but yeah, I'm listening to that right now, and the author's narrating it, which is fine. Because she doesn't have to put on any special voices or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm only 2 hours.
I finished it. So I was supposed to start work on Monday, We're recording this on Wednesday. I was supposed to start work on Monday, but instead I was driving to San Antonio to attend a funeral. And I got done with the podcast stuff. I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and put this on. And I, of course, being double speed, I got through quite a bit of it going down there and actually finished it on the way coming back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm only 2 hours. I think I'm only 2 hours in. So I'll finish it next week, though.
Yeah. I'll be interested to hear your opinions. So, obviously, I'm pretty sure Sean's not going to join us for this one.
No, he doesn't like nonfiction unless it's like a biography, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So, but yeah, I could see him being. I already know if he does join us for this one, he's not going to enjoy it. So, Cyrus, have you been listening to anything?
You know, it's funny. I have a coworker who I've been talking with a lot lately. He keeps suggesting bands that I've never heard of for me to listen to or watch a video of. And I couldn't give you names necessarily of all of them, but it's a lot of like older blues type rock.
Okay.
I've been really enjoying sort of discovering that sound lately, like that sort of early almost folk kind of small club sound. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's been very enjoyable. A band that has like, drums, a guitar, maybe a bass, and a singer, and that's it. Maybe a piano, and it's like, it's really nice. I like simpler stuff a lot. I mean, I like a lot of different things, but I've just been discovering some of this stuff, and some of it's from like the 70s, some of it's from the 50s, actually.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow, it's pretty good. Pretty good
That's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Have you watched Chef?
It's a Jon Favreau movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really good. It's got a good. I think I know where you're going. It's got a good soundtrack because it's Cuban music, but like.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I'll send you some of the songs. I think it's Lucky Man. No, there's a few on here that are really good, but there's one in particular. There's a scene where Jon Favreau and his son are sitting on top of the
Food truck,
and they're watching the performance live. I can't remember the artist's name at all, but it kind of gives me that feel of what you're talking about, where it's kind of a bluesy rock mix. And
that sounds great. Yeah.
And by the way, fantastic movie as well. So
it's one of
yeah, it's one of
yeah.
I don't think I ever heard of it. When did it come out?
Years ago.
Yeah, it came out years ago, and it was a passion project of his. It actually launched a short-term series on Netflix, like they did the Chef Show. But anyway, there's tons of food porn in it. Like, it's just you cannot watch it and not be like, oh my god, that is like the best looking grilled cheese sandwich I've ever seen in my life. And the other thing is when you're watching it, he literally, I'm sure, went to everyone who was in the Avengers and was like, hey, you want to be in my movie? They're like, sure, we'll be in my friend's movie. Because every scene is just like, oh my god, they're in this movie. Like, it's crazy.
2014 was when it was put out. Release things.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta check that out.
It's one of my go-tos if I'm.
Like, and if it's just him and he doesn't have to worry about anybody else.
Oh, what's going on?
Oh yeah, no, it's a great movie. So,
and it's also one of the movies, like, when you interview anybody that has talked about eating food on film, they were like, "This is the first movie I've ever been on where the food actually tastes great," and it was like amazing because he went to other food trucks and other chefs and actually learned. So Jon Favreau learned how to cook and had a couple of them on set to make sure that it looked realistic. So.
Hey, you know what's a good show if you like food porn? Hannibal.
Oh Lord, really?
No, I'm serious. Like,
so.
You would, if you've never seen that show, you don't know. But like, that was a big part of that show. Was like, oh my god, it was horrifying. But the food was meticulously crafted, like like a work of art, like way better than. I mean, it was amazing. But anyway,
I thought for sure you were going to say, because Christy and I just started it. It's a series on Hulu right now. It's actually on FX called The Bear. We just started it. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to keep up with it because it's classified as a comedy. It is not a comedy. It is a straight drama. But it's about a guy. His brother kills himself. He owned a like a little well, it's like a greasy spoon type place down in Chicago, and his brother kills himself. He was the owner of it, so he basically quits his highfalutin job as a chef, and is there trying to manage it, and he's trying to correct all the issues plus deal with all of his demons. And it's a really good show, but there's a lot of food prep going on in there, and some of the stuff they're making, I'm just like, I'm getting kind of hungry here. So I thought for sure that you were going to say that. So the thing I was going to recommend was I think it's on Spotify. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But there's a podcast I listen to, and two of the guys on there, one of them started doing this, and then they talked to the other one to kind of convince him to do it. And someone's put out a list or something. It's like the 100 greatest albums or 100 albums everybody should listen to, or something along those lines. And one of the guys was like, "Well, I started listening to it, but he's like, I can't get very far because one album you're listening to, it's like 70s rock, and then the next thing is something like grunge from the 90s or whatever." And so they've been talking about it over the last month or so. And the one guy went, "You know what? I think I figured this out." He said, "I actually went back, took the list, and put it in chronological order." He's like, "So I'm starting from the oldest stuff. And so even though I'm jumping genres, it's still music from the 70s. I'm still, firmly in music from the 70s. And, as I'm going through and then slowly pulling into the 80s." And he's like, "It's been very enjoyable." And I'm just like, I'm not a big music guy, but I'm like, that might be interesting because I'm kind of like what you're saying, Si. I bet there's some stuff that I've never even thought of that it's like, oh no, I kind of like this. So, and that might be an interesting way to check it out.
There's a whole world out there that we've never even heard or seen. And, we gotta stop once in a while and sample something you haven't ever considered,
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, you get extra points for working in the term highfalutin.
Oh. I almost thought I was going to get made fun of for using highfalutin. So
I thought about it.
Okay, well, thank you. So, what I've been listening to, I've actually mentioned this, I think, on both of the other shows that we've done. I know Chris and Ray, this is probably the third time they've heard of it. I just finished listening to a book called The Happiness Curve, and they know I've gone through this, so I won't spend too much time on this. But it was recommended on a podcast I was listening to, and basically what it is they've done a bunch of research, not only in the U.S. but in several other countries, to include Canada, several countries in Europe, several countries in Asia. So it's pretty widespread, and it's over generations. Like it's not a short-term thing either. But what they're finding is that if you look at people, if you ask people to rate their happiness over time in their 20s and stuff, it starts up here, and then as they hit the 30s, it starts to kind of go down. And at the 40s, at least for most people in the United States, apparently that shifts around depending on the country. Some other countries it starts later, some other countries it starts earlier. But instead of going through what we jokingly refer to in the United States as being a midlife crisis, it's not so much a crisis most people go through. They kind of go through a midlife malaise. And the way they described it is a lot of people are just like, a lot of people are finding out they don't talk about it because they're like, they look at other people's lives and they're just like, I don't have anything to complain about, but I'm not as happy as I think I should be. They're like, I've got a good job. My home life is fine. My marriage is okay. The kids are doing all right. But I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel happy. And what they're finding is as you start to get, once again, mostly people in the United States, once you start to get to their 50s, they start to kind of pull out, and nothing could have changed. Like everything may be exactly the same, but for whatever reason, you start to look back, and even if you do make a change, you start to just kind of like don't care as much, and just your happiness just tends to kind of keep going up until you get older, and maybe you start having health issues and stuff like that. And I, I could honestly say I think I've kind of been going through this. Like I've kind of naturally put in some things that have helped with that, but like I tell people all the time, I feel like I don't help anyone at my job. My job is really not that bad. Definitely could be worse. There's a lot of other jobs out there I could have to be a lot worse. But that being said, I don't feel like, I'm not fulfilled in my job at all. I don't feel anything. My job is just a thing that I do that puts money on the table. That's it. And that's the reason I do the Ghostbuster stuff, is because I feel like I'm helping people. I feel like I'm making a difference with people. I'm making people happy. I'm raising money for a charity. But I feel like the older I'm getting and the closer I'm feel like I'm kind of maybe on the upswing of that. And it was just kind of eye-opening to see that, especially when you hear other people talking about it. Because like I said, some people, of course, and it talks about, if there were two things in particular that would tend to kind of really rock the feedback. But even then, even when they kind of accounted for it, you still had this dip. But like losing your job or getting like a divorce about this time, because it's a major shift in your life. But even then, they would talk to people and they were like, in general, once again, this isn't for everybody, but in general, like even if you did go through one of those things, you get closer to your 50s or get in your 50s and 60s, and it's just like, no, actually, I'm pretty happy with my life. So anyway, I've been reading that book. It's funny, like I don't have another pick for the book club until like pretty much next year, essentially. So I'm sure something else will come up before then. But if not, like I've been pushing this book really heavily, mainly because I want to see if I want to hear someone else read it so we can talk about it. So, but yeah, like especially if you're in your late 30s and your 40s and you're listening to this and you kind of think, oh, that kind of seems like maybe what I'm kind of going through, go pick it up. It's a wonderful book. And it's not like, it doesn't talk down to you. It uses a lot of common language, even though it's talking about these really long, expansive data gathering sessions and stuff. But yeah, it was kind of like heartwarming to know that, hey, things will probably get better, even if if everything else remains at par. At least your perception of everything will probably get better. So that's what I've been listening to. Anyway.
Oh.
Nice and light.
Yeah, I know, right? Chris.
Yes.
What would you like to talk about?
Sure. Speaking of, we'll watch.
All right.
We're taking stuff up. I've been on a docu-series kick over the last like month or so, especially ones where there's only like 3 episodes, or even better if it's like an hour and a half long. That's amazing. So some of them, I can't remember all of them, but some of them I've been watching. The one that I just started is called Turning Point on Netflix, and it's about the Cold War and the relationship between the U.S. and Russia. I find World War II, like World War I, World War II, really fascinating. So it starts at World War II, so I've only watched like maybe part of the first episode, and then I watched one, and this was like I think it was 8 episodes of this docuseries about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Christy watched that one too.
Yeah, they need to pay those girls more. They need to pay those girls more. I do like the whole they have to re-audition. They should also resize them every single year for a different costume. Pardon me for having to stay the same size for 5 years.
Okay, so she had it. I have to comment on this one. So she had it on in the background. Her and Lainey were watching it, and the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, the only thing that kept going through my head was, yes, this is like the highest level of this of this type of profession, is like, this is the tippy top. Like, and they even say it, like, there's nothing else that even compares close to being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
Yeah.
But like you were talking about the whole time, I'm just thinking, I was like, how good a message is this that oh, well, she did great in the dance. She's got a fantastic personality, but you know, her butt's just a little too big. So you really need to lose like 5 pounds. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like 99% of the women in this world would kill for the body you have. And you're worried about those last 5 pounds because you've got to squeeze into this set standard of how they have to look.
Yeah.
And that kept running around in the back of my brain. I kept just going, I'm just like, oh my God, seriously.
Yeah. It was very interesting. There was this one woman, her name is Victoria, and she was, I felt for her because she was very hard on herself. And I can relate to that because I'm much better, but I'm the queen of like, just like one little thing. And I'm just like, I'm the worst. So she was doing that a lot. And she wound up not coming back. Spoiler. So that one was really interesting. And then
what's the point of me watching it now?
skimpy dress uniform. I don't know.
guess.
Then I watched one, I think this was on Disney. It's about Jonestown, the Jonestown massacre that happened in
Okay, yeah.
78, 79. That I always find religious cults really, really fascinating because it's like what people are willing to believe and just how crazy the crazy gets. And that was just a horrible tragedy because it was like over 900 people died, and the way that this man just did it and convinced himself and everybody else. And yeah, so that one was really neat. And then the last one that I can remember, and that was the most recent one that I finished, is called A Man with 1,000 Kids. And it's about a man in the Netherlands, and he was a sperm donor, and he was a prolific sperm donor, and kind of loopholed a lot of legislation in order to basically get his sperm across the world. And they figure he could have up to 3,000 children if, biological. And I was like, okay, but there's like 7 billion people. But there were, the chances of donor children meeting each other, not knowing their siblings, and falling in love apparently is pretty high. There's like it's like a phenomenon that happens with half siblings that don't know they're half siblings because there's this instant connection that they can't explain. And there's also like DNA issues. There's a lot of your genetics out there, and you can only have so much out there. And he got together with a couple of other prolific sperm donors in Kenya. And I guess Kenya was like the place. And this one guy was like, my glorious white seed will be all over the earth. And he was like a huge white supremacist. So I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, great.
Sometimes it's nice when you watch things and you're like, you know what, I'm kind of normal. At least, you don't feel that way.
That's why Christy and Lainey say they watch reality TV shows. They're like, well, at least I'm not this person.
At least we're not like that. Yeah. Then it's also really like humans are just interesting people. So that's what I like to watch recently is those docuseries. They're fun.
Cyrus, you been watching anything?
Oh yeah, actually. So I just got Max again. It's now called Max, HBO or whatever. I watched the 3rd season of True Crime.
Okay.
I think it's the name of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I never seen. Is it the 3rd season or the 4th season? The one with Clarice, with the Jodie Foster.
Okay.
That's the 3rd or 4th one. I can't remember.
It's the newest one.
Yeah.
I think it might be the 4th one. It might be the 4th one.
I think you're right.
Very surprising. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was good. And then I've been on I hear y'all talking about this crime stuff, and I've been on a real kick of watching like crime videos on YouTube and stuff. Like there's this one little Scottish dude or Irish dude that does these videos where he talks about.
I think I know who you're talking about.
He's hilarious. It's just the way he talks. It's like this little dude. He's like, oh, and then they went down there and this happened. He goes, but I tell you what, you wouldn't expect what was going to happen next. And they go, you're just like, oh, this is funny. But it's not funny because it's horrible stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know where I'm coming from talking like this, but yeah, that, and then as far as shows like fake shows, House of the Dragons is back on. I've been
Mhm.
enjoying that. I have not watched any of the Acolyte.
Neither have I.
My daughter is like, she's like, "Are we going to watch that show?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've heard different things. I don't know if I want to see it." And she goes, "Well, we need to watch it." And I'm like, "Okay." So she's like, "When this House of the Dragons show, when this season's over, we'll watch that." I'm like, "Okay."
Good
So,
deal.
but yeah, HBO stuff. I don't have anything else right now. I don't have Netflix. Oh, I'm still watching the racing stuff, the
Oh,
F1
okay.
stuff with my brother and everything. We're still doing that.
Nice.
So yeah, I've been watching more stuff lately. Yeah.
Cool.
If you want a really interesting psychological deep dive on crime, Jim Can't Swim.
What is it?
Jim Can't Swim on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Jim Can't Swim.
Yeah, that's the channel, and he does some really interesting deep dives on like the interrogation videos of the people that have committed the crimes.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I watched there's a documentary series that they did a part 2 on recently on Max.
Mhm.
And it's a continuation of a show that they had done back in like 2016 or 2017. And it's about this old guy that they were pretty sure murdered like his wife and his best friend, who was also a woman, but I can't remember the name of the show. What was it called? It had a funny name. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it was a full-on documentary, like of all the stuff as it was happening with the real people and everything, and it was really fascinating. I just can't remember the name of it. The older I get, the worse that's going to get.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be nothing but me going, "I saw this thing with these people and they were young and they were talking about the music was so loud."
All I could think of is that Grandpa Simpson thing. You remind me of a place I'm not sure I've ever been to. A song I don't think is real, or something like it. He names like 3 or 4 different things that he cannot remember.
Yep.
So, if you've never watched it, it's on Max. If you've never watched it, watch Chernobyl.
Oh yeah,
that is fantastic. So. What have I been watching? That kind of actually goes into what I've been doing more so than anything else, but I'm just going to narrow it down to one thing right now. And that is, X-Men 97. I finished X-Men 97 and oh my God, it is fantastic. It's literally for adults who liked the original X-Men cartoon. It's what it boils down to, because like, if you didn't have a fondness for these characters, like I can see how a kid would still pick it up and enjoy it. But like the stuff that they're hitting is like, it's traditional X-Men stuff. It's still, hey, guess what? Weirdos, we don't want you to be part of our society. And in some cases we want to commit genocide to get you gone. And is it right to fight back? Is it right to try to exterminate the humans instead? And it goes back and forth on all this stuff. And it's just what X-Men, it's what X-Men, always, was at its best at.
Yeah.
The animation on it looks awesome. The fights are great. The voice acting is fantastic, but the story stuff is great. And I mean, it hits. And it's funny because I was listening to a podcast. There was a guy talking about it the other day, and he was talking about how much he really enjoyed it. And he goes, it's one of those things. It's like every scene. I mean, granted, it's animated, so they can do this. It's not like, a live action show that, would be every time. Oh, all right, well, we're gonna have someone use their powers. So now we've got to, that's more stuff on the budget. A cartoon, you can just do it. But it's like every single scene, someone's using one of their powers, and that might be kind of in a jokey way, or it might be like, well, how, if I had this power, would I really use it this way in real life? And it's like, yeah, I absolutely would, use, being able to grab stuff from far away, or, whatever it might be. And, yeah, it's great. If you were a fan of the original X-Men cartoon series in the 90s, Absolutely go watch X-Men 97 on Disney Plus. And the theme song is a freaking banger, man. Let me tell you. Like, I still get hyped with that intro. Like, it's funny. That's the one thing, like, on a lot of newer streaming shows, it comes up and it's like, press enter to, skip the intro. They might as well just take that off. There ain't no one ever skipping the intro for this show. That is an awesome ass song. So, Ray, what have you been watching?
So Chris has an affinity for not horror movie, but like disaster movies.
Oh, natural disaster movies.
Okay, yeah.
Specifically.
So
that.
we were, and so I've been off this weekend. We're like, okay, well, we should try and watch something we haven't watched before.
Mm-hmm.
So I found The Meg. And then we watched The Meg 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with The Meg 3.
Of course they are. Is Jason Statham coming back from Meg 3?
Yeah.
I think so.
I was gonna say, because if he's not there to punch the shark, I mean, what are we doing? Right?
Yeah,
he's got to be there to punch the shark.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how they're going to get into space. But anyway.
So watch that.
So yes, absolute horrible science.
That's why I like it, because I don't get it, so I don't care.
The first one tried to be a little bit more like realistic about it. And
Yeah.
the second one was like, fuck it, let's just have fun.
Forget it.
Yeah, nice.
So you're at the bottom, you're below the Mariana Trench, underwater, and you're holding your breath on your own while just being able to swim from one area to another.
Right.
No protection.
Because Jason Statham can do anything.
True. That's very true.
His eyes didn't implode or anything.
No,
Girls did, though.
Oh, yeah. So that's, yeah. Anyway.
I liked the second one better, because the first one was like, just stay on the damn boat.
Oh, yeah,
Why does everybody have balance issues? Why do they keep falling off the stupid boat? It was 45 minutes of people falling off a boat. I'm like, how hard is it to go inside? Go inside the boat. And then the second one, I'm like, this is way better. Nope. So much time. Hardly anybody fell off a boat. It was so much better. Oh, and there was a little dog. There was a little dog named Pippin. Pippin lived. Both times.
Oh, good.
Pippin took on the shark the second time.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen either movie. Nicholas has watched the first one because I looked into it and I was just like, it seems like he'd probably be able to watch this because he has this huge shark fascination. So,
yeah.
All right.
CGI is not bad, but
yeah,
it is what it is. Then the other thing I got a cat trying to get on my paper.
I've never seen the Meg movies. At any point, does the shark have a freaking laser beam on its head?
No.
It doesn't need to. It's like the size of like
the megalodons.
Yeah, it's a megalodon. It's like a size of a friggin' boat. Like
I think at some point that should happen, and the shark should also learn to speak. There should be the shark should have one-liners.
Well, I don't want to spoil it too badly for you, but one of the characters believes that they have a connection with one of the sharks in the second movie.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you saying there's sex scenes with the shark?
No, like trainer trainee, like how trainers pick up like
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a connection with this.
There's nothing like that.
Nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, oh, maybe it's a good thing he didn't watch the second one.
No, it's like a very paternal thing.
Yeah. So then we wanted to continue down the train wreck and actually see what was so wrong with Madam Web.
Oh.
And
okay.
What's wrong with Madam Web?
I've heard tales.
I had to know how bad it was, and now I know.
Because you tried watching it, but you fell asleep.
I fell asleep.
We watched it yesterday.
We watched it yesterday, and it was bad.
It wasn't great.
No, it was bad.
It yeah.
The overdubbing of the one character didn't match the mouth at all.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that the dubbing for the villain is just horrible.
Yeah, the whole thing was just botched.
It's what happens when you don't go through your original plan for the movie. Right?
Mhm.
You had a plan for a movie, and you started going along, and then you're like, we got to change all this because we can't use a certain character, or we don't want to use a certain character.
Mhm.
And then it's like, shit, now we need to like really fuck shit up. So anyway.
And we watched 65, which is Adam Driver movie. Also not good. We're just
I
like,
liked it. No, wait a minute. You're talking about the one with Adam Driver, right?
Yeah, it was okay.
I liked it. I thought it was a fun. It was, of course, granted, I was just like, this is just going to be a popcorn action sci-fi movie, so I was perfectly fine with it. But
it was fine.
I'm glad it didn't include time travel. That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was great.
So
It doesn't. So, and I liked that concept, but like, that was a lot of Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So other than that, the only other thing I've been watching has been really phone reviews. I enjoy my cell phone. It's been good. It's still working, everything, but I hate the camera on this fucking thing. It doesn't do it justice. So I've been looking at other phones, and I'm actually intrigued in trying to find a phone that is not an Apple and not a Google and not a Samsung. Trying to find something else out there. The Nothing phone has come up a couple of times, so I'm going to check that one out. They actually released CMF, which is the cheap motherfucker phone. It just launched on July 8th. And then I'm just trying to find other brands that might be out there that have good quality, are more about trying to find phones that support the right to repair.
Mhm.
So
Good on you on that.
Have you looked into the jitterbug?
Not yet, and this is why I brought it up.
Do you know what the jitterbug is?
Nope.
That's the old people phone with the big buttons, you know.
Now,
Jitterbug. You don't remember the commercials for that?
I don't either.
I don't know how to use this phone. Here, Grandma, and it's like giant chiclet buttons. That
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I'll have to check it out.
It's a real phone.
Cyrus, we've got two more categories. Which one do you want to talk about first? What you've been thinking about? What you've been doing?
Oh my god, I definitely don't want to do what I've been thinking about. Jesus.
All right. Well, what have you been up to? What have you been doing?
I mean, video game crap, and
Okay.
other than that,
I haven't had a chance to watch it. You posted something about was it a Super Nintendo or something?
oh yeah, you don't want to hear all the crap. It's just a bunch of. I had a lot of trouble with a lot of stuff. Oh no, you don't want to hear all this. It's,
All right. Oh, okay.
I'll summarize.
All right. Fair enough.
I had a lot of problems. With you consoles. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I ordered stuff that didn't work and I've had it repaired and it's been a nightmare, and old things don't last. Right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Well,
much
some old things don't last, but yeah.
well, yeah.
Like people.
Hey,
People don't like
I was gonna say it's funny. Somebody was talking about the Samsung watch that they have, and it will no longer pair with their new phone because their 3-year-old watch is too old for the new phone because they
Oh, 3 years. That's bullshit.
No, there was a whole controversy about this.
Oh
this
yeah,
topic.
it's huge. So somebody else posted, yeah, my 100-year-old mechanical watch still works and I can still get it serviced. So fuck you. It's like, yeah, like
Yeah. Apparently they're still selling these watches that don't work. Like you can
really?
Yeah, it was like a whole thing. Like
Ooh, that sucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can buy the watch, but it won't pair. Like
so
That's ridiculous.
oh yeah. That's why I'm trying to steer away from Samsung right now. Like I don't make some, like they make some good stuff, but
you're like the captain on the Titanic Samsung, right ahead. You like turning the wheel.
Well, like I've been telling Ray, like I've been listening to some of the technology podcasts and stuff I listen to. Samsung, like flat out, has been sending out marching orders. In fact, they've got a big thing going on with Best Buy, who's like the place to go to if you have a Samsung phone to get it repaired. They're basically telling everyone who repairs Samsung phones, if you find a non-Samsung sanctioned part in it, you must remove it. So, like, if you had your phone repaired somewhere and they put in a non-Samsung regulated whatever screen or charging port or whatever, they're being told you will take it out and then you will return it to the person. And it's just like, no, you're not. I'm not done. I'm not bringing my phone in to get the charging port fixed. And because I went cheap on the screen whenever it broke, you're going to basically fix the port and just hand it back to me with no screen. That's bullshit. And so apparently they're in a huge tiff right now with Best Buy because Best Buy's like, no, we're not doing that shit. Like they're to the point they're like, we may not be selling your phones anymore. Like, this is garbage.
Let me ask you this. I don't really follow this as closely as y'all probably, but Apple has something where they're making it like impossible to fix stuff now, right? Like I saw something
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on? What's happening? Like, explain.
Essentially, what it is the whole right to repair thing is becoming more and more important because they're trying and they're still trying to skirt some of the stuff because like California actually passed law saying that no, it has to be repaired and it has to be supported for a certain amount of time. But yeah, the thing with the Apple thing was like, and apparently it's starting to already soften up some stuff, but yeah, it was like, yeah, you can absolutely repair your brand new phone as long as you buy the parts from a sanctioned person, and they're sanctioned parts because they have to like be certified, and like you have to contact Apple and get it certified that it's pairing with this phone or it's going to be in with this phone. And they're, like I said, they're trying to skirt the law that's being put out there because they're like, you cannot make it so you cannot repair it. So they're like, fine, you can repair it, but you have to use our parts. And that's like, no, that's not what we were talking about. That's not what we were trying to push. And so there's a lot of stuff going back. It kind of goes back to the whole, cause I mean, everyone knows about the whole ice cream machine thing at McDonald's. That partially is also because only their repair people can repair those ice cream machines. So like anytime they go down, you're on this huge wait list to get yours repaired. That's why they always seem to be down. But like one of the worst ones about it right now, and actually has been for years, is John Deere. Like farmers are not, like, that's one of the key things is knowing how to fix their own shit. Like that's like a key aspect of being a farmer. And years ago, they started making it to where if you buy John Deere stuff, you can't hardly fix it yourself. And I think people are finally getting fed up with it. Which they should be. Like, you should be able to repair your own shit and do whatever you want with it. You own it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
they've designed phones in such a way that it's almost impossible to remove the battery or the screen without making it worse and damaging other parts. So that's why they have it.
but I mean, laptops are getting the same way, and desktops are following that way as well. Like Apple was the first one to start going, hey, we're going to solder instead of, and because I'm sure it does save them money, because if it didn't, they wouldn't do it. But they did, are like, hey, you know what? We can save money instead of actually buying a stick of RAM. We'll just solder the chips directly onto the board. Mm-hmm. And everyone started giving them shit about, well, that means you can't, if you buy a MacBook Pro, you can't upgrade the RAM. You're absolutely right. Guess who else does that now? Dell. Like these newer Dell laptops that come out, you can't change out the memory. You can't change out the hard drive. Like if it dies, you have to send it in pretty much to their repair place, and they have to fix it because the level of expertise you have to be able to unsolder these chips and stuff. Most repair people don't have that expertise, or they're like, no, this is going to take a whole week to do. I can't spend an entire week trying to repair one laptop. So sorry,
dude, you're getting a Dell. Remember when that was a commercial?
Oh.
Now it's like a
dude,
like a slur. Like
yeah, no shit. So, but yeah, like we're running into that crap all the time. And the worst part of it is these damn kids want to keep popping off the keys off the keyboard. And if they pop it off too far, if like the little rubber grommet completely comes off, in order to repair that, you have to replace the keyboard. Well, think about how a laptop's designed. That means you have to flip it over, take off the back, and literally strip everything out of the laptop to get to the keyboard. So we are literally getting 2-year-old laptops being DNR'd, do not resuscitate, because they're like, sorry, it's going to cost too much money to completely take this thing apart just to fix the keyboard. It's ridiculous.
That's insane.
So anyway,
That's insane.
So that's what you've been doing, right? Si?
What was I doing?
messing with your consoles, but you didn't want to go too far into it. Yeah.
Blah 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 blah.
And then we got to talking about how old stuff don't work. And
yeah.
Tangent.
What I've been doing goes along with the watching thing. So I have worked on my shop some, but not a lot. There's still a lot to still be done. But of the 3 weeks that I was off, the week before, I dropped a 20-pound weight on not my big toe, but the toe next to it. And even though I didn't break anything, I didn't break a bone.
How do you miss the big toe?
Dude, I don't know. I literally, as it was being dropped, I looked down and pulled my foot back, and I honestly thought I just grazed it until later on that night when it started turning black and blue, and I was just like, oh crap, did I break it? I'm 46 years old. Is this the first thing I've ever broken? Sure enough, I didn't break the toe, but like I said, it was bruised all to hell. So I get to looking, and it's like, well, there's nothing you can really do with it except for keep it clean and try to stay off it and keep it elevated. And I'm like, okay. So week before last, I was like, you know what? I guess I'll do this because I need to get it in better shape. So I'm going to just kind of hang around the house. And I started watching movies with the boys. And the last episode of the Epically Geeky show, I kind of commandeered it. Well, I'd say commandeered it. Everyone volunteered to help. But we came up with a list of movies to watch with your kids. And we kind of divided it up by their age. And so I literally have a list of over 100 movies because even though we keep knocking stuff off of it, I keep adding stuff because I keep remembering things to watch with them. But anyway, I've been going through and I've been watching movies with the boys. Some of the movies that I've watched with them, Greyhound, fantastic movie. It's on Apple Plus. It's Tom Hanks. He stars and directs it, and it's a fantastic movie. It's about how during World War II. So you would enjoy this, Chris. During World War II, they could only get protection when they were ferrying fleets of supplies and troops over to Europe. They could only get out so far before they no longer had air cover. And then they were basically in this, what they refer to as the dark zone. And before they could get air cover from Europe. And that's when all of that area right out in the middle of the sea, or in the ocean, that's where the German U-boats would come after him. So literally, it's him and like two other destroyers, and they're in charge of trying to get like 30 ships across the ocean. It's based on a real story. And this group of German U-boats call themselves the Wolf Pack show up, and they start taking out these boats. Because the thing is they take out a boat that's maybe on the back end. Well, now they got to turn around. Not only do they need to try to go find the U-boat, but we need to try to get as many guys out of the water. But then again, if we do that, now we're in trouble. We could be, latched onto and be sunk. And it's a great movie. It's fantastically done. Okay. Yeah, it's called Greyhound. Watch that. I watched the first Matrix with the boys. They enjoyed it. I told them, look, I'm not a big fan of the second, third one. If y'all want to watch those, we'll get to it. But anyway, so my boy Kate Nicholas comes to me and says, I'm kind of interested in horror. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, I'm kind of interested in watching some classic horror. And I'm like Frankenstein and Dracula? He goes, no, like Freddy and Jason. And I'm just like, yeah, 1980, dude. That's technically classic horror now. So,
dude, that just to real quick say this, that period of horror movie, which I don't know if it really exists like anymore, but at least in the 80s and 90s, that there's nothing else like that. It's like,
Oh no, there isn't.
It's not really scary necessarily. It's just fun, you know. It's goofy. Like it might be a little like they might have some scenes that are a little bit freaky, like you know, when they play the when the girls are slowly jump roping to the music, you know,
Mhm.
1, 2, for all that kind of stuff. That's kind of creepy, right? But it's not scary. It's just cool. Like
So
it's
now,
like that. It's just a very specific kind of genre. They don't
yeah.
like the Phantasm movies and the Jason movies and you know and
Razor, Candyman.
yeah. Now Candyman's kind of scary. That's a little bit scary. But on the flip side of that is like the Leprechaun movies, you know, like that.
Oh yeah.
But that's all in one big pool. That whole, you know, that's something I don't think they really do anymore. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's because so the first one we watched, my brother-in-law was in town, and him and his wife are big horror fans. In fact, his favorite movie of all time is Scream. And I was
Oh,
like, well,
okay.
we can't watch Scream until you know Amber comes because like I don't want to take away the ability for her to watch that with the boys because introducing your favorite movie to someone else, that's always a big thing for people. I was like, don't even do that. So anyway, we decided on the second Friday the 13th because the first one we're like, well, it's not even him, it's his mother. And they're like, no, we want to see Jason. Well, we didn't remember until about halfway through the movie. It's like, oh yeah, he didn't even get the mask until the third one.
Yeah.
But we watched the second one, and quite literally, like one of the first kills is the kid's hanging upside down, and he's hanging upside down, and he goes to kill him with this with the machete. And first off, it's the slowest wipe across his neck that I think I've ever seen. But I look at it, and I look over at my brother-in-law, and I'm like, did he use the back of the machete? He's like, yes, that was very clearly the back of the machete. We watched it with the boys. They both were like laughing and stuff. Now, I did ask them from time to time, like, so how do you think they did this? And so, like, the first kill's literally like a woman getting something stabbed into her head. And I'm like, well, how do you think they did this? And Alex goes, well, did they have like a fake head? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how they did it. Nick goes, could the head have been made out of cake? And I'm like, that hasn't been a thing for very long, dude. That's kind of a newer thing. They wouldn't have made a cake that looked like someone's head, but at least they're on the right track. I will say though, so when I watched Friday the 13th with him, I'm not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street with him. When I asked him, how do you think they did? Because I have to remind him, this is the 80s, man. There's no CGI.
Yeah.
How do you think they did the blood fountain whenever he pulls him into the bed? And he goes, well, surely they didn't make an entire room and turn it upside down. And I was just like, nope, that is exactly how it did. So we watched it. And then afterwards we went to YouTube and watched the making of it because number one, seeing how it's made, number one is interesting. And he is interested. He's starting to get interested in that type of thing. But number two, it also completely demystifies it. It's like, oh, that thing that was slightly scary, and that's why like when we go to watch Alien, I may have to show him the making of Alien first because Alien's still scary.
That's intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an intense movie. But when you see any of the aliens just like out and brightly lit or whatever, it's like that looks like a bunch of trash bags that someone's duct taped together. Like that's not scary at all. Of course, in the movie, they make it. But anyway, so we watched some horror movies and stuff. We went there. We watched like Tommy Boy. We watched Tommy Boy, Waterboy, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. I showed him Mars Attacks. That was a lot of fun. The thing that I've been telling everyone, the only problem is going back and watching some of these movies, in particular, some of the horror movies and stuff in the 80s, is the fact that it's like, why did we feel the need? We always had to throw in boobs and some kind of a sex scene. Like,
I feel the same way.
That?
I feel the same way when I watch House of the Dragon. I'm like, I guess people like to see the stuff, but I just find it, maybe it's just that we're too old. Maybe that's what it is.
I mean, I don't have.
Dragon is weird because sisters and brothers have sex, aunt and uncle have sex. Like it's just the most incestuous, and everybody's fine with it. That's weird. It's just creepy. And Matt Smith has no eyebrows. It's weird.
I have an issue with it just because I'm showing it to the boys right now. But I will say I've actually heard some stuff that has come out. The younger generations, not only do they not want to see that stuff in movies, they're to the point they're like, why do we have to have romance in these movies? Like, why does the leading man and the leading woman have to end up together? Why can't this just be there's a bad guy to defeat, they work together, they defeat the bad guy? Why does there have to be a romance to it? And I'm just like, man, y'all are a different animal, because like that was like a given for every freaking movie growing up. Like you knew the leading man and leading lady were going to end up together.
Yeah.
So like, how does James Bond even work nowadays? If that's not what y'all want to say, you know what I'm saying?
James Bond doesn't work anymore.
So
yeah, like I think anyway.
But anyway, yeah. So I've been going back and watching old movies and stuff with the boys, and like I said, I've been doing a smattering of sci-fi and action and everything else. And there are some things I'm like, maybe we're not quite ready for that. Some of the stuff I just want to hold back on because I want them to be a little bit more mentally mature to be able to pick up some stuff. So like the Naked Gun movies, yeah, there's a lot of sexual jokes in there, but I'm like, I don't think they can pay attention enough to be able to handle not only the 3 jokes that's being told to you up front, but the 4 jokes that's happening in the background. Like you've got to be on your game to pick up everything. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing is I've gone back and watching movies with the boys, and I'll be honest, I'm having a hell of a time doing it. It is so much fun. So Ray, what have you been doing?
Is this some kind of bust? Yes, very impressive.
Still one of my favorite lines of any of them. And then one of my favorite physical jokes is, I want to say it's the first one where they're doing highlights. They're doing highlights in the baseball stadium. And, it's random things that's happening, like a good pitch or a good throw or whatever. And a guy slides into base and a tiger comes out of nowhere and just,
Dude,
it's just like,
Leslie Nielsen in his prime is absolutely hilarious.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Police Squad stuff, Naked Gun,
yeah,
airplane movies.
Yeah. That's on the to-do list as well. So,
dude, you know how many movies he made? Like there's so many that came out after you probably didn't even realize he was still making them. Like he was like, he did one that was like a parody of The Fugitive.
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, there's some hilarious stuff in that too.
Yeah. And that Dracula one.
Dracula Dead and Loving is fantastic. Yeah. In fact, I brought it up. Ray and Chris have been watching some stuff with their kids, and I was like, have they seen Dracula Dead and Loving it yet? So
that one's actually Mel Brooks. Brooks did that one.
Well, yeah, we were talking about Mel Brooks movies that they hadn't
that
watched.
Dude is still alive. He's like 90 something years old.
Do you know that apparently they're finally supposedly doing a Spaceball sequel?
I heard something. I don't want to. I'll believe it when I see it.
I think it's going to happen just because everyone realizes how old he is. And I'll be honest with you, if it's half as good as History of the World Part 2 was on Hulu, they didn't do it as a movie. They did it as like a series of like 6 or 8 episodes or whatever. Everyone and their brothers in that fucking show. And because everyone wants to work with Mel Brooks like one last time. And God, there was some funny stuff in there. So yeah, if they can halfway pull it off, if not, oh well, we still always have the first one. But yeah, I'm excited. I'd love to see it. I'm like, sure, give it to me. If it's great. If not, oh well. So I'm sorry, Ray. What are you up to? What have you been doing?
So I've been working away at printmaking. Kind of goofed around with that some more. I'm actually going on Friday. We're gonna test out the print that I've made. And see if I can start getting it on some t-shirts and stuff like that. So
nice.
So that's kind of what I've been up to there. I'm on vacation as well, so I've been doing nothing, which is also fun. We did go down to an antique store yesterday.
Antique mall. Sorry,
the
biggest one.
It was massive. It was
I saw your post about that, Chris.
Yeah, it was
too hot to be in there, but we did it anyway.
Yeah.
There were so many comic books, but it was too hot for me to actually go through it. So we're gonna go back in September and like October time frame and actually like spend the time and go through,
because there were several booths that had nothing but boxes
of comic books. So and like figures and all these other things as well. So gonna go check out that. And there was also one that had movie posters that I didn't get to look through very much, so I'm gonna go check that one out too. So and then the other thing is Lego making. Chris got me a couple of Lego sets that were fun. Got through making a tall Wolverine, and then Spider-Man with Spider-Gwen and a character I've never seen before, which was Green Goblin mixed with Venom, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know that one.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing.
Chris, what have you been up to?
Well, hanging out with him for the last few days. Yeah, Monday.
You're welcome.
I've been slowly deep cleaning the house. Been doing like a room at a time and just sort of like, because I don't deep clean regularly. I don't want to, so I just don't. But it's getting to the point where I'm like, oh, I should probably bust out the duster and probably wipe down the baseboards and maybe wash the windows, that kind of stuff. Doing that very slowly. And then as I'm doing that, I also mentally renovate and decorate the house. So I've been doing a lot of that. It's also it's mentally so far. I haven't told you half the stuff.
Oh, I'm aware.
But that it's tied into what I've been thinking about. So I'll expand more when we get into that.
Nice. Well, the last category is mine, and that's thinking. I mean, I've been thinking about what movies to watch. I've been thinking about working on the shop, but honestly, like I said, and then reading the book. And then I think I'll just kind of wrapped it into just retirement. I'm thinking about retirement. I've got 11 years until that happens, so I've still got a good amount of time. But the reason why it keeps coming up is because I've started this year and not off to a good start this school year. We're somewhere between we're looking at somewhere between a $13 and $16 million deficit in our budget for next year. Now, granted, part of that is, well, most of that is because our governor has basically not allocated the funds to schools because he has a pickle up his butt about doing a waiver system for kids and stuff. But a lot of the stuff that we're looking at cutting, it's like, hey, maybe I should start at the top. The fact that I looked this up. So I want to say it's like, if you make $160,000 a year in the U.S., you're in the top 10% of earners for the entire nation. $160,000. Our superintendent is about $10,000 shy, or somewhere around there, of being in the top 5% because she makes about $350,000 every year. Yeah. And yet, they're wanting to cut other stuff like, hey, maybe we don't need 2 librarians at the high schools. No, we really need 2 librarians at the high schools. But anyway, they're talking about cutting all this stuff. And it's just like, God, am I going to have to, things aren't going to get any better. They're just going to keep getting worse. They're going to keep cutting crap or whatever. The teachers come back in about 3 weeks. Next week, they're going to decide whether or not we're going to get either a 1 or 2% raise. Now, while inflation has leveled off, it hasn't gotten better. It has pretty much leveled off here in this country. We're back to about 2% inflation. So if we don't get at least a 2% raise, it doesn't quite level, it doesn't quite work out this way. But I hear a lot of people have started, adapting the idea that, well, I mean, if inflation goes up 2% and you don't get a 2% raise, you technically took a pay cut. And I'm like, it doesn't quite work out that way, but almost. Because our insurance has gotten crap. Our insurance sucks. And so I'm sure the insurance rates are going to go up on that. They do every year. In fact, at a 1 or 2% raise, it pretty much just covers our premiums every year. Canadians are just like, oh, that sucks. Too bad for y'all. But
we've been hit by inflation too. But
right. No, I know y'all have been hit by inflation, but at least
your insurance stuff is
ridiculous. Yeah. So for example, my boy Alex, dislocated his pinky a month or so ago playing football, and I had to take him to the ER, and I got the doctor bill, which was $400. And then I got the ER bill, which was $1,100. And then Christy is currently getting over, about a pneumonia. That was scary because on a Friday at 5:30, they were like, "Hey, we did the X-ray. It looks like there's some uh, uh, liquid on one of your lungs. It could be several things, to include uh, uh, heart failure." And they were like, "We'll do another scan on Monday. We should get it cleared up." Well, that Sunday, she was just not having a good time breathing. So we went ahead and took her to the ER, found out it is just pneumonia. Yeah. Yes. Pneumonia is bad. It is not something to be messed with. But when you compare it to heart failure, it's definitely on the upside, right? But yeah, that's going to be another $1,100 that I'm going to have to pay. And it's just like, well, when we redo our insurance here in a month, like, I guess I need to bump up to the next level. So maybe my premiums are going to be a little bit higher, but at least maybe, ER visits aren't going to be quite as bad because the boys are going into 7th grade. Nick wants to play football, even though he's not going to be playing something like quarterback or receiver or anything where he's going to constantly be getting hit. That it doesn't matter. You can play O line or D line and still dislocate a finger or break something. So I'm just like, we're going to have to start looking at that. It's just retirement. I'm just like, I can't wait. I'm tired of dealing with this shit. I'm tired of having to deal with all the crappy change and stuff. And yeah. So, because one of the things I decided, and we'll talk about it on this show, especially this show, Sai, you were bringing up how old stuff doesn't work. I was going through and organizing old memory stuff to put it in the garage, and I came across HO and N-scale trains from when I was a boy. Like, we're talking about like pre 10 years old, like little boy.
Oh.
And I don't know, I couldn't get the HO stuff to work. It could have been that it just needed to be cleaned. It wasn't getting a good connection. It could have been that the transformer was dead, whatever. But I got the N trains to work. Like, they still ran. I mean, they need to be cleaned and stuff, but I'm just like, yeah, I didn't really know what to do with the space that's over here. And I'm just like, I think that's it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a model train, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. That gets me excited. And then this last weekend, I did a build event at Dragon's Lair comic books with the Ghostbusters. Wasn't like an official event. It was basically just us there working on projects, like helping each other out, making stuff and everything, sharing knowledge. That's a lot of fun. Got me interested, got me kind of hyped. I'm like, I gotta get my shop going so I can start making stuff again. But yeah, it just all comes back to I'm tired of the rat race. I've been doing this for 20 years. At least in education. I've been doing this for 20 years in education. I've, worked longer than that, but still, it's just like, I'm done. I'm ready to start doing what I want to do. So, Ray, what have you been thinking about?
I've been thinking about a lot of new art techniques that I want to try. The main 3 ones are airbrushing, getting a Cricut.
Yep.
It keeps.
You'd have fun with it.
And then silkscreen. I'm still drawn to silkscreen. I think there'd be a lot of potential with that as well. So just really been thinking about those different techniques and what it would take to get into them, and trying to. I love learning new art techniques and seeing what I create with them and have fun with. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Christy. So in our big bathroom, where there's this, it's kind of up top. It's kind of a long, thin window in the shower, and she didn't even tell me. She told someone else, and they brought it up. I think it was Lainey, about, it might be cool to have, because the evening light comes in. It might be cool to have like a stained glass up there. And of course, I wouldn't be able to do what I want to do specifically, but I've watched videos on making stained glass, and I'm just like, I could see that being a thing that I could get into. Like, that looks like that would be a lot of fun. So
yeah.
So I understand you there about like, oh, hey, this is a new thing I might could learn about. Let's see where this could go.
Yep.
So
Cool.
Chris, what have you been thinking about?
So because we're like in the midst of summer and we've already been through a heat wave or two, I, unlike most Canadians, have summer seasonal depression.
Mm-hmm.
Canadians, or at least people who live in like a climate that gets legit winter, tend to get the winter blues, so they tend to get it in winter time. And
February
tends to be like the worst month for most people, but me, I'm just like winter. And then I'm like, I don't like summer. There's a lot to it. So this year, what I decided to do is yes, I have this. Yes, I know it's going to happen. What are things that I can do to help myself?
Mm-hmm.
Not completely slip into depression, hate my life, and then be just like miserable to be around because it just happens to be hot outside because my body hates it and it's overstimulating and overwhelming. So I've been kind of like trying to romanticize things, like make it like a whimsical experience or like something, adding a little bit of extra fun to it or something just to get me through it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like when people in the wintertime, they hunker down, they never leave the house. And for them but I do that in the summertime. I hunker down in the house. I don't go out. And it's not because I'm choosing to, it's because I literally cannot bear to go outside. It's way too hot. So it's things like slowly deep cleaning the house and just puttering around. It's curating my For You page. So it's lots of decorating and house and fashion and fun little whimsical like Halloween videos and stuff like that. It's my ritual morning matcha. It's, those things for me that really help or that are really I'm hoping help me get through the next couple of months and make it to September where at least I can shut the air conditioning off and open up some windows and not worry about heat stroke the moment I step outside. I've had heat exhaustion before. When you've already had it once.
Oh yeah, it sucks.
You're more susceptible to get it again. And so there's that part. There's also the part that it's like in the wintertime, you can put more clothes on. There's only a certain level of naked you can get.
Yeah.
You can get more naked and it's still hot. Things are still sticking. And it's just like, no, there's no relief. The air's thicker. It's just, and then you have to, there's like this societal pressure, like summer's the only time you ever get to do anything, right? Like the kids are out of school and now's the time to go on all your vacations because summer's great. Go to the beach. I don't like the beach. I like the water. I don't mind the water. I like going swimming and stuff, but I liked going to the beach when the kids were little because it was fun and cute and, you stick them in a wetsuit and they're having a great time, but I don't like it now. And nobody in the family likes going to the beach either.
I grew up in a beach town and it's fine. I don't know.
We just don't like tourists.
I can't stand tourists. People that come into town think that they own the place. It's like, you know what? Go back. I don't. Yeah, I get you're spending money in my town, but for crying out loud, at least show some respect, right? Like don't cut people off. Don't like you're on vacation. Relax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do. Like, and the kids are both at camp. We pick Quinn up next Friday. Also, so next week's going to be like a very brief trial run of what it would be like when both kids are at, in college, post-secondary,
and I'm at work.
And he's at work. So what that would kind of feel like. But yeah, just really trying to recognize, these 2 months the moods aren't going to be fantastic. I can, like last week, or was it the first heat wave? I could feel it. I'm like, no, I hate this. I hate all of this. Yeah. Like when it got hotter than what it was down in Texas. And I like that week sucked. It sucked.
Yeah, that does suck.
Yeah. But one of my sisters is the exact opposite.
She loves the heat.
She loves it. And she hates winter. So part of me romanticizing my life is purposely posting fall stuff in my stories just to piss her off. Because that brings me a little bit of joy. And she sends me a middle finger emoji. And I'm like, yes. I win today. I pissed her off.
Only so many more days before Halloween.
See, what's funny is I love those posts. I love those posts of like, only so more days until like, pumpkin spice comes back and, that type of stuff. But when I see people post, it's only 6 months away from Christmas, I'm just like, get over yourself.
That's too far.
Yeah.
Too far.
Halloween, yes. Christmas.
We don't need to do Christmas until it's absolutely necessary. Yeah, it's just-
I want to do that, but like for some obscure holiday, like President's Day or something.
Dude, you should. That would be fantastic.
I'm living with the quote that Sheldon said at one point, because he said he only drinks hot chocolate in months that end with a Y. And Penny asked him why, and he's like, "What's life without a little whimsy?" And I'm like, "That's gonna be my motto for the summer. What's life without a little whimsy? I'm gonna make it whimsical and ridiculous and help myself."
Nice.
It's food being hot as balls.
Nice. Cyrus, what have you been thinking about?
Nothing. I don't know. Really, not much. Just trying to survive and do my thing and keep to myself and not cause any problems for anyone.
Sounds good to me.
Just doing my thing.
That works.
Yeah, it works for me too. So,
Yeah.
well, I guess that's it for our episode this month, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here. Oh, how did I phrase that last time, Ray? Give us a 5-star rating on wherever it is you watch or listen to the show, to include YouTube or iTunes. It's gotten so bad, Si. Like some of the different things no longer do podcasts. You know, they've combined or they've gone away, or it's just like I can't keep up with it. Like if you're watching the show, great. Okay, here we go. Maybe I should move into this. If you listen to the show or watch the show and you enjoy it, tell a friend. Like we'd love. I mean, we're not here for the numbers. We're not here to like really, because believe me, I'm getting more and more emails like, hey, we want you to join our network. We want to do this. We can get more viewers and you could get more sponsorships. I'm just like, I don't really care. Like
we want to just talk about what we want to talk about. Have some fun with talking with our friends. Like,
yeah, exactly. So I'm not doing the show to make money or anything like that. Like literally, this is my way of giving me a reason to schedule time to hang out with friends and giving us a topic to talk about, so we don't just kind of ramble, essentially. Which, you know, rambling's fine too. But anyway, if you do listen or watch the show and you enjoy it and you think other people enjoy it, please let them know. Like, you know, share the show with other people. You can find us at epicallygeeky.com, where you can find the rest of the shows we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, the Marginally Geeky Show, and Sustainably Geeky. I think she's kind of had some hard. She's had a hard time. Jen's had a hard time scheduling people. But anyway, then you can find us at epicallygeeky.com, and you can find us on social media at Epically Geeky on Facebook and Instagram. Where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram, and yeah, I'll be posting my my prints soon on there to see how they all turned out. So
nice. She's not here right this second, but you can catch Chris on Instagram at Moody Midlife.
Yes. Sorry, one of the kids was able to call. So
oh, nice, excellent. So
the call.
Cyrus, where can we find you online?
You can find me at epicallygeeky.com or One Man Aside. No, that's not the.
No, I don't know that anymore.
Super Mega Graphic 64. Look that up.
Nice. And as always, you can find my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene on Facebook and Instagram. For everyone on the site, have a good night.